Jamahal Hill didn't just get caught. He got shown levels, and he got schooled by Khalil Rountree. He said that about Yuri Prohaska back in the day. Well, he just got schooled by the guy that got whooped by Alex Pereira. Now, listen, I'm going to give my breakdown and reaction to every single fight that happened on UFC Baku. But let's just get right into the main event. I picked Jamahal Hill, and that was because I said that I don't think Khalil Rountree is going to utilize his leg kicks that much. And you may be saying, well, what do you mean he's not going to utilize his leg kicks? Khalil Rountree probably has like the second best kicks in the light heavyweight division. He has some of the best leg kicks in the UFC. What on earth are you talking about? Well, Khalil Rountree threw like 3 leg kicks against Anthony Paperleg Smith. And when Khalil Rountree starts his fights in a boxing battle, and I thought Jamahal Hill was going to pressure him early, he usually just forgets that he has legs and doesn't throw them. So I was thinking, Khalil Rountree, ever since the Eric Anders fight, has barely ever thrown any fucking leg kicks. He's probably not going to throw a lot, but he did. And not only did Khalil Rountree throw a lot of leg kicks, which obviously immediately changed this fight, but Jamahal Hill put a pace on Khalil Rountree that was slower than a tortoise, which is another thing that I thought was strange. Jamahal Hill, the heaviest pace that he pushed in this fight, his best round was the 5th round, okay? After getting schooled by Khalil in the 2nd. In the 3rd, he got dropped twice, okay? Jamahal Hill was doing more to show us that he was good. He kept putting his thumbs up and shaking his head. He did more to show the fans and the audience that he was cooling in there and he wasn't actually getting dropped and flopped on the deck like a fish than actually impose his will. Because I'm telling you now, there was literally no better way he could have started a fight that would fit more perfectly into Khalil Rountree Jr.'s game plan, which is a very slow tit for tat. He basically went in there with a pace that was perfect for speed. Imagine you have a coach in Muay Thai that's like, all right, man, we're going to do a 5-rounder, but I want every single strike in this 5-rounder, this 25-minute mitt session to be hard and to be fast. Don't focus on volume. He went speed for speed with Khalil Rountree. He went tit for tat pace with Khalil Rountree. And of course, I was dead wrong about the leg kicks. That was just one of those things where I've seen him go many fights without throwing a lot of kicks. And I was like, man, I don't know. I feel like they're overrated because he never actually freaking uses them. But when he does use them, holy crap, Khalil Rountree looks good. And I'm just going to say this. How good is Alex Pereira, man? Now, here's the thing. You may be saying, well, what do you mean? He knocked out Jamahal Hill and that's an overrated win. Jamahal Hill's not that good. And I will say, I think Jamahal Hill, by myself, even after recognizing that he was overrated because I picked Alex Pereira to knock him out and I picked Yuri to beat him, even after recognizing that, I'm still like overrating Jamahal Hill leading up into this fight. But what I'm talking about is Alex Pereira beat Jamahal Hill in like 2 minutes. So, I mean, listen, he knocked him out easily, but Khalil Rountree looked amazing in there. It's very rare that we see people in the light heavyweight division actually have perfect technique and everything that they throw is just like super crisp, from his leg kicks, even the standing hammer fists, the overhands. He was throwing a lot of like these Yoel Romero style overhands, just freakish speed, switch kicks to the body, regular roundhouse kicks to the body. Again, dropping Jamahal Hill multiple times. Khalil Rountree looked, in my opinion, like the 3rd or 4th most technical fighter in that division, behind Pereira, behind Mohammad, and maybe Azamat Murzakanov is on that level. But even Yuri Prohaska, and I know Yuri Prohaska's got a wild style, and it just because he's not technical doesn't mean he's not at the level of Khalil Rountree. But my point is, when it comes to technique, pure technique, there's not many that are looking as good as Khalil Rountree. This is a drastically improved fighter. This is not the same guy that fought Jacoby Smith or Jacoby fucking Dustin Jacoby, okay? Jacoby Smith is on UFC 317. It's not the same guy that fought Dustin Jacoby, all right? And I had said that after the Alex Pereira fight, and people were like, dude, you're overrating this. Alex Pereira went life or death with Khalil Rountree, and it's like, dude, Rountree is really improved. I thought Hill was going to go in there and beat him. I thought Hill was going to maybe drop the first 2 rounds, but he was going to keep up a heavy pace and eventually break Khalil Rountree. And the most success he had was in the 5th round. I feel like if he had started the fight the way that he started that 5th round, maybe things would have went better for him, but ultimately he didn't. He went in there very patient. Even Michael Bisping, I think Felder asked Bisping in the 2nd round, anything surprised you so far? And he said, not when it comes to Khalil's approach. He's obviously doing the traditional Muay Thai, chop the base down to get to the head. He's starting off pretty patient, everything's super powerful, but I'm a little bit surprised with Hill, given how patient he's being right now. Because clearly, I mean, even going into this fight, you wouldn't look at Hill as the more technical guy. You would look at him as maybe the more well-rounded fighter and maybe the better fighter, the better guerrero in there. But like, again, dude, he went like freaking 25-minute pad session. Coach, your freaking Muay Thai coach asks you to do only explosive strikes and to maintain your explosivity for 25 minutes. That's like the pace that Jamahal Hill was fighting at. And it's just perfect for Rountree, man. 2nd round, it was clear that patient approach was not working. Hill started getting his legs wobbled around. And honestly, we might have to call up Quaker Oats. I know that Magomed Ankalaev is repping Quaker Oats, but I think that they need a new ambassador. And that could be Jamahal Hill for the buckle hat. Jamahal Hill got buckled like 3-4 times in that 2nd round. And then 3rd round, Jamahal Hill's legs are looking to be toast. And it looks like we may be headed towards some leg kick knockdowns. And then Khalil Rountree starts letting his hands go. And Jamahal Hill's just thinking about the leg kicks. And it's perfect, man. You start chopping low, you go high. And Khalil Rountree's dropping him all over the place with his hands. Beautiful performance for Rountree. I really like this one. At times, this fight was a little bit boring because there was a lot of lulls in the action. There'd be like a few minutes at a time where we would barely see a strike. But that's perfect for Rountree. And when he's in one of these matchups where someone is willing to have a slow-paced fight with him, he's always, in my opinion, going to be, deadly in those sorts of matchups. So I really liked his performance. I would like to see Khalil Rountree fight Jiri Prochazka. I think that's a perfect #1 contenders fight. Khalil was getting a lot of crap for not having any good wins. I think his best win before this, I mean, you're really scraping the bottom of the barrel to even pick one. I mean, we're talking Anthony Smith. We're talking robberies that he should have lost. We're talking Eric Anders way back in 2019 or 2018, whenever that was. He finally gets himself a solid win in Jamahal Hill. Now, to be fair, though, and I like Jamahal Hill, all right? I am a fan of him. But, man, dude, like, I know that he didn't fight the way that he should have. And you may say that I'm coping. I'm really not coping. I was not attached to my pick in this fight. Like, I'm not, like, upset that I got the pick wrong and I'm trying to find a way to cope. But even aside from the fact that he didn't fight with a good game plan, and again, maybe that wouldn't have made a difference. It looked like Khalil was just on another level anyway. Jamahal Hill just looks terrible in general, okay? Like, he's one of the slowest fighters, even at light heavyweight. Not even Jan Blachowicz is slugging around the octagon like that, right? There's a lot of other fighters at light heavyweight that may not be super light on their feet, but, I mean, think about it. Dustin Jacoby, Carlos Olberg, Magomed, Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira's not the lightest guy on his feet either. Jiri Prochazka. I mean, Jamahal Hill really has terrible movement, and I understand that it may have seemed silly to pick him against a great leg kicker, but again, I was thinking, man, Khalil really never goes to the leg kicks. It's kind of like Aldo in the latter half of his career, not really going to the leg kicks. I was like, man, how often are leg kicks really that much of a factor? And if Hill goes out there and puts a crazy pace on Khalil, even after the first round, if he gets his legs chopped, I think that Jamahal Hill could bring Khalil into a brawl and make him forget about leg kicks for the rest of the fight. And then in a brawl, I kind of like Hill's chances. But aside from the pace and all of that, I mean, I don't know. Everything in his game is just not very good. And I know people were talking about Rountree's weak resume, but I think it's time to talk about Hill's, okay? Like, he beat a washed-up Glover Teixeira, and at the time, the way where you could say that it's a good win is because Glover had just given Jiri a really tough fight, and that was a title fight, and before that, Glover became a champion against Jan, and before that he was on a crazy win streak, and Glover was one of the old heads that was still respected as being elite. But, I mean, maybe looking back, Jamahal Hill schooling Glover Teixeira, to be fair, Hill kind of looked better back in the day. I feel like he's declined a little bit. When this guy was on the come-up, he seemed lighter on his feet, a little faster, a little more athletic, but outside of the Glover Teixeira wins, what we're talking, old head, OSP, and Thiago Santos, Jimmy Crute. I mean, to be fair, he doesn't have the worst wins ever, but yeah, man. I think that because he was a former champion, it's sort of, he carries that former champion aura with him into fights, and it really does make you want to pick them or give you a better chance or make you think that they have a better chance to win a fight. So Hill's former champ aura has been carrying him heavily when it comes to fan perception, betting odds, all of that stuff. So yeah, man, great win for Khalil Rountree. I feel bad for Jamahal Hill. At one point, guys, before I talk about feeling bad for Jamahal Hill, I thought it was really funny. Like, I was actually dying of laughter in the 5th round. So Jamahal Hill's getting schooled. He's getting dropped. He got dropped like 3 times in the 3rd round. He got buckled like 4 times in the 2nd round with leg kicks. And at the start of the not the start of the 4th round, at the start of the 5th, I'm going to talk about it, but in the 4th round, I don't think Jamahal Hill landed a single punch, and he got dropped. So, like, he ends the 4th round, he gets dropped, he doesn't land a single punch, he has the look in his face like, holy shit, I'm out of my depths when it comes to skill. And at the start of the 5th, Khalil Rountree pulls his shorts up, basically to his freaking chest, okay? He's got the biggest tuck ever. He's got the Daniel Cormier tuck. The wrestling dad tuck where he's tucked his freaking shirt. He doesn't have a shirt in the octagon, but it's as if he's tucking his shirt in and he's pulled his shorts all the way up to his shoulders. And Jamahal Hill, he's got his fat belly hanging to the canvas, and just the freaking contrast between, you know, slick, fast, super technical, doing everything right. Khalil Rountree, he's here for business. And Jamahal Hill slugging himself across the octagon like a freaking walrus, with his belly touching the ground, okay? The contrast was so unbelievably funny. Khalil's here for business, all right? He's the nerd. He does everything right in there. And Jamahal Hill, man, oh, man, that was so fucking funny. I don't think it'll translate now, but if you guys were watching that, maybe let me know in the comments if anyone else caught that. I don't know if it was intentional, but Khalil Rountree, I'm telling you, he pulled his shorts up to his fucking nipples. And I laughed for like 2 minutes straight at the freaking difference between them and how the fight had played out up until then. So that was one of the funniest moments I've ever seen in my entire life. But then Jamahal Hill started doing pretty well in the 5th. You know, the best round was after getting schooled. It was the 5th round for Jamahal Hill. I feel bad for him. I mean, I know that Hill is a guy that's sort of easy to clown because he talks a big game, and he's not a trash talker or anything like that, but, you know, he goes into his fights. He was saying that, believe me, Khalil's going to bleed, and believe me, he's not on my level, and he said Yuri was not on my level, and he said Pereira's not on my level. And so I understand that he's one of the guys where it's easy to clown him and meme him a little bit, but I like Jamahal Hill. I think that he's got an entertaining style. I think that he hypes up fights, okay? The saltiness that he has about him is kind of funny, and that's good from a fan perspective. So I feel bad this guy's taken 3 L's in a row since becoming champion, and that is very unfortunate. It's almost like a Dominic Reyes situation. It's just that, I mean, to be fair, the losses haven't been as brutal, but Reyes beat John Jones and then lost 3 straight. Jamahal Hill beats Glover Teixeira. I think it's a little different, but he beats old man Glover Teixeira. Not the same thing as beating John Jones, but then he loses 3 straight. The difference, though, is that you could say that Reyes was just getting caught here and there, but I don't know. It's kind of similar. Reyes gets brutalized by Yuri, just sort of like Hill. It was competitive until he got knocked out. Reyes got knocked out against Blachowicz. Similar to Jamahal Hill getting schooled by Rountree, right? There were some competitive moments. And then he had a moment where he got caught, like Reyes, where Reyes got caught by, what's his name, Ryan Spann. And Jamahal Hill had his moment getting caught by Alex Pereira. But 3 losses in a row, it's tough. But we've seen Dominic Reyes pull back. We've seen him come back from that. So maybe Jamahal Hill can come back from it. But man, the difference is Dominic Reyes actually moves around like an athlete. And Jamahal Hill slugs himself forward like a walrus. So I don't know if it's going to be easy for him to come back. And then think about it like this. Because he's a former champion, because he has the former champ aura, that only hurts him when it comes to matchmaking, right? Dominic Reyes didn't have former champ aura. So they give him Dustin Jacoby after that loss to Ryan Spann, or they give him Ryan Spann after his loss to Yuri Prohaska. You know what I mean? Jamahal Hill is just getting nothing but like the number 1 contenders, the guys that were just in title fights. Who are they going to give him next? It's not going to be an easy matchup. It's going to be like an Azamat Murzakanov. It's going to be like, I don't think Carlos Ulberg, but someone like Dominic Reyes. That could be the matchup, and that's a tough one. Reyes has a lot of momentum behind him. And as I said for Rountree, he's definitely improved. Great performance. I'm loving the fight style. I would love to see him fight Yuri Prohaska. I'm a little bit worried because you guys know I'm a Yuri Prohaska fan, and I don't think I've ever picked against Yuri Prohaska outside of his second fight with Alex Pereira. Every other time I've picked Yuri to win a fight, and I would still pick Yuri to beat Khalil Rountree just based on Yuri's just different, man. We know he's just different. He's got the holy martial arts ghost willing him to victory every single time. He's got built different power, built different toughness. So I have to go with Yuri, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't scared for my boy Yuri, because Khalil Rountree was throwing them Yoel Romero haymakers and almost catching Jamahal Hill. But then again, it's like, didn't put him away, right? Either way. And I also think that he broke the record for the most light heavyweight knockdowns in this fight, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, great performance from Khalil Rountree. As far as scoring goes, I think 50-45 is fair. The first round was very close. Could have gone to Jamahal Hill, so maybe 49-46. But honestly, even if he did drop the first round, you could say one of those middle rounds, especially the third, was a 10-8. Not one of them, specifically the third. He dropped Jamahal Hill twice. So could be 49-45. Let's get on to the next one. Rafael Fiziev versus Ignacio Bahamondes. I didn't do so great on picks, by the way. I mean, I just realized I got the main event wrong again, and now I'm understanding that for the majority of the card I was wrong, but I was right on this. I picked Rafael Fiziev to win this fight. I said I think that Ignacio Bahamondes is going to win the third round, and he damn near did, but the fight IQ. And to be fair, both guys showed questionable fight IQ in this fight, all right? There were times where Ignacio Bahamondes was just spamming the same spinning heel kick over and over and over again. I think he threw like 10 or 12 of them in this fight. Every time Rafael Fiziev, like clockwork, would enter the matrix, he would do his classic Fiziev, that thing that he did against Mark Diakiese. He just pulls back, right? Like he's doing that game. What's the game called? How low? I don't know the game. But either way, he was fucking pulling back in the matrix. 5'8" Fiziev. Honestly, it's like a trick that you can only do if you're 5'8", really, because if you're tall, I mean, you're still gonna get caught by that kick. It's going high, but if you're short, right, that head kick's going up. It's going up, but you're short to the ground. You can do it, right? But Rafael Fiziev, man, he was in the matrix, man. That was super impressive. But Ignacio Bahamondes, still, what the fuck are you doing? Throwing the same technique, and it's just taking so much energy. And the other mistakes that he was making, number one, in round 2, or maybe it was at the end of round 1, it was a close round. They ended up on the ground. I think Rafael Fiziev got himself a takedown. He got a bunch of takedowns in this fight. Rafael Fiziev's grappling is underrated. I said in my prediction, don't be surprised if Fiziev resorts to the wrestling. He took down Justin Gaethje pretty easily, and he's got amazing takedown defense. I think he can grapple offensively, and he did just that. I don't care if Ignacio Bahamondes trains with Belal Muhammad, all right? Rafael Fiziev is a better grappler than him, and he showed it. And again, in the first round, he gets taken down. Fiziev gets back up, And Ignacio Bahamondes just lays there and lets Fiziev kick him like 10 times. But now we're going to talk about Fiziev's lack of fight IQ. In the third round, Rafael Fiziev has a strong start in the third round. It's arguably 1-1 going into the third because I think Ignacio arguably won the second, but he has a strong start. Ignacio Bahamondes falls over himself or ends up getting tripped by Rafael Fiziev. This is before Fiziev lands 2 takedowns. He's on the ground. Instead of Fiziev jumping on him and controlling him for the rest of the round, he doesn't get on him at all, despite having a slow start. So, people are going to talk about the lack of fight IQ for Ignacio Bahamondes. Rafael Fiziev fought like an idiot as well. He then takes down Ignacio Bahamondes at the end of the third round twice and lets him back up both times. So it's like he has this moment to get on top of Ignacio in the middle of the third round, already winning the round. He doesn't take the opportunity, and Ignacio starts getting back into the fight, landing 1-2s. He starts cracking Fiziev, spinning his head back time and time again with 1-2s. And Rafael Fiziev takes him down and then lets him up again. It's like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? So both of these guys didn't really make the best decisions, but let's just talk about the scoring because it was a very close fight. First round was very close. Ignacio had a little bit more of the volume, but Fiziev landed the better, stronger shots, mostly body kicks, switch kicks to the body, couple of big hooks upstairs. I gave Fiziev the first round, especially with that takedown at the end as well. So the second round, however, Fiziev really wasn't doing a whole lot. I mean, we were a few minutes into the second round, and I asked myself, wait a second, has Fiziev even thrown a single strike so far? I mean, Ignacio's missing these spinning wheel kicks over and over again, but in between them, he's still landing jabs, a front kick to the body every now and then, and he hurts Fiziev at one moment with a 1-2 and cracks him with a knee, and then Rafael Fiziev lands a couple of hooks. I gave that round to Ignacio. The third round, though, Fiziev starts strong. It looks like he had maintained a lot of his energy from early because, again, he was hardly doing anything on the feet in the second. So he had the energy to go hard in the third round. He landed a bunch of body shots, couple of hooks upstairs, but ultimately I think Ignacio was landing the harder shots when it came to the 1-2s, but it was very even at the end of the third round, and those takedowns helped Fiziev, especially at the end. He got on top of Ignacio Bahamondes and had like 40 seconds of solid control time where he was raining down some ground and pound shots, especially in the last 10 seconds. So yeah, I think Fiziev just edged this one out. It was a tough matchup on paper because, again, Ignacio Bahamondes has a great gas tank. He's super tough, and he's rangy. And for Fiziev, he's known for not having a good gas tank, and he's short and stocky, and his power is super overrated. I'm tired of the fucking commentators talking about Rafael Fiziev's power being so great. Like, this guy hardly hurts anyone in fights. And despite him winning, all right, and ultimately I picked him because I still think Ignacio is a little green on the feet. Despite Rafael Fiziev winning, I mean, in striking battles, I don't think that Fiziev is going to wow me that often. Again, he's got these great switch kicks and all that, but it's like they're so few and far in between. And even though he has fast hands, he doesn't have the best boxing combinations. He can really only land them when he's in very close quarters situations where he can land a body shot and a big hook upstairs. But it's very rare that you see Fiziev land a 1-2 or like a crispy jab at range. And so it's like Rafael Fiziev fights end up being 12 or 13 strikes per round these days. And I don't know. I honestly think he should maybe think about mixing up the game a little bit, like just focusing on takedowns a little more, because he's built that way where he's like a compact wrestler build. If you sort of focus on the takedowns first and foremost, against strikers at least, and you mix in the striking a little bit, I think maybe the striking will be a little bit more lethal. But I don't know. Fiziev wins this, and it was still very close, but I didn't leave this fight thinking that Rafael Fiziev is going to beat a bunch of high-level guys closer to the top of the lightweight division. Let's get on to the next one. Holy shit, this was a robbery. On paper, I got it right. I picked Curtis Blaydes to knock out Rizvan Kuniev. And I said that was because of the reach, and Rizvan Kuniev will not be able to do anything in the grappling. And I think that this is going to be a striking battle where Curtis Blaydes with the reach advantage, lands a big 1-2, and because he has a lot of power, he'll get the KO. He didn't get the KO because he wrestled early and then got gassed after a couple of minutes, and then it was just like classic heavyweight fat guys striking. I ultimately got it wrong. This was a robbery. Rizvan Kuniev lost the first round, won the second, won the third. Easily won the second round. Third round was kind of close. And Blaydes had a little bit of control time up against the fence. He was landing some knees to the thighs. But before that, guys, Rizvan Kuniev was blasting Blaydes with double jab right hands. And he even rocked him at the start of the third round. So not only did he rock him, but he kept landing a double jab, right hand over the top. He had the better moments. Blaydes landed a couple of good punches and then had like a clinch moment. That was it. Rizvan Kuniev won this fucking fight. And you know what I'm going to say? If this fight doesn't prove that Tom Aspinall can be tested by Magomed Ankalaev, I don't know what does. Now, people laugh at me all the time for saying, what do you mean Magomed would be a test? And I understand Tom Aspinall is blowing Curtis Blaydes out of the water, but like, Curtis Blaydes is a high-level heavyweight. Like, he's looked at as being one of the actual good heavyweights. One of the 5 real heavyweights with Sergey, with Cyril Gane, with Aspinall, with Volkov. He even has a win over Volkov, right? He's looked at as being, okay, well, all the heavyweights suck, but Blaydes, you got to respect Blaydes' game a little bit. Curtis Blaydes, and I know he was injured in this fight, and he said that on the post-fight interview or whatever, but come on, don't give me that crap. I'm not saying I'm doubting it. I'm just saying that's not why he looked bad. Blaydes looked bad because he gassed himself out because he's a freaking heavyweight. He gassed himself out a little bit after wrestling in the first round. Okay? And then after that, we see the real Blaydes for the rest of the fight, for the next 2 rounds. This is Tom Aspinall's elite competition, okay? And do not get me wrong. I'm not saying that Tom Aspinall isn't amazing. Like, Tom Aspinall is, in my opinion, the most dangerous human being in human history, okay? I've said that a million times. He is amazing. But when I say things like Magomed Ankalaev would be Tom Aspinall's toughest test, and he would be a much tougher test than any of the other guys Aspinall has fought. This is the shit that I'm talking about. Curtis Blaydes may be one of the most overrated heavyweights of all time. And the fact that this guy is beating Volkov back in the day, the fact that this guy, people would pick him to beat Cyril Gane, I bet. Although I think Gane might have a good chance. But, you know, him, Volkov, Gane, they're all pretty decent in their own special ways. But ultimately, Aspinall's the best. However, Magomed Ankalaev would absolutely school Curtis Blaydes. He would school Rizvan Kuniev. Yuri Prochazka would maul every heavyweight. You could line them all up one by one and have each of them fight Yuri Prochazka. Okay, get a line going outside of an octagon. Curtis Blaydes, Cyril Gane, Volkov, and who else are we talking? Whatever his name is. I'm thinking of another guy as well. Everyone except for Almeida. Almeida is actually good, but listen, get all of these freaking classic heavyweights. They're like the Poirier, Gagey, and Chandler of the heavyweight division. Blaydes, Volkov, and Gane. Line them all up. One guy is going to fight Yuri Prochazka, then the next guy and the next guy. They're all getting spinning elbow KO'd. The same thing when it comes to Khalil Rountree. If you have Khalil Rountree in the cage with Curtis Blaydes, on the feet, okay, on the feet, I'll say that. Curtis Blaydes is getting absolutely blitzkrieged, all right? You put Carlos Ulberg in heavyweight, he is making his way to the title. Now, I think Aspinall beats Yuri Prochazka. I think he beats Ulberg, and I would pick him to beat Magomed, but the point that I'm making is, when this is the fucking level that we have in the heavyweight division's top 5, don't ever laugh at the idea of Magomed being freaking Tom Aspinall's toughest test. You've got Blaydes out there with his, oh my gosh, man. Like, this is cardio kickboxing level of fucking skill here that's on display. Not Kuniev. Kuniev at least looked decent. But let's be honest, Kuniev is basically Waldo Cortez Acosta. Okay? While I was watching this, I was like, wait a second. Kuniev is fighting the same way Waldo Cortez Acosta does. He has the same amount of power, the same amount of speed, right? He's not knocking anyone out. He's okay and slick with his takedown defense. He's kind of athletic, despite the fact that he's fat. So he's basically like Waldo. I was like, wait a second. Waldo Cortez Acosta might beat Curtis Blaydes. Waldo Cortez Acosta might beat Curtis Blaydes. And like, again, you think Aspinall is 50 leagues ahead of everyone, but it's like, yeah, but he's ahead of Blaydes though. Okay? And I'm not saying he's not 50 leagues ahead. He is. He's the best heavyweight ever. Okay? He beats Jones. He beats every heavyweight that there's ever been. But Magomed Ankalaev is not fighting like Curtis Blaydes. Magomed Ankalaev is by far the fastest in his division, dude. So I think I am not sounding so crazy when I say things like, dude, Magomed would be a serious test. I don't know if Aspinall just blitzes him with a 1-2. It's kind of one thing if you do that to Plotty Man Blaydes, who's throwing a jab, and he's doing the head movement. Curtis, move your head! It's like they have one of those swimming pool noodles, right? And they're teaching a freaking kid cardio kickboxing. Move your head, kid. Move your head, kid. Blaydes, Plotty Man Blaydes. He's gassed out, throwing a jab, Plotty Man. Do not tell me that Magomed Ankalaev is not 5,000 times the level of these heavyweights. Don't ever say that he ain't. And I am a friend of Magomed. I'm a little bit biased. I'm a bigger fan of Aspinall. This ain't even about Aspinall's overrated. It has nothing to do with that. It's just when I said back in the day that Magomed would be a tough fight, people called me an idiot. All right? Don't fucking say that, okay? Curtis Blaydes looked like freaking, oh my gosh, man. He's literally declined. I'm sorry to say that. Like, it pains me to say that. Curtis Blaydes looked better against Pavlovich than he did against Kuniev. And this is another thing that I will be at least, I'll say this after I said that the level of heavyweight is bad, but he has actually gotten worse. The Blaydes that was beating up Alistair Overeem with elbows on the ground was better than this. And again, I understand he was injured, but like, dude, you're looking at some of his recent fights, the Jairzinho Rosenstrike fight, man, Blaydes is starting to morph into, and I hate to say this, bedtime, if you're watching this, I know this is going to be a tough one to swallow, but Curtis Blaydes is honestly starting to fight like Parker Porter, dude. Curtis Blaydes is honestly starting to look like one of the heavyweights that just got off the Dana White Contender Series, like Martin Buday. Dude, we can't even sit there and act like Kuniev's this beast, bro. Kuniev is literally Waldo Cortez Acosta, but Russian. Okay? Like, he has that archetype where he's not that powerful, but he's kind of fast and kind of slick at the same time. He's kind of decent with his takedown defense. That's Waldo Cortez Acosta. I think if him and Waldo fight, the universe might stop. The earth might stop spinning because they're basically the same person. The universe wouldn't understand what to do. So, yeah, man. This fight taught me that heavyweight, even the elite heavyweights, are just atrocious. It taught me that Blaydes, again, I've said this in the past, but he's very overrated, and he still is. And Kuniev is, he won the fight. I was wrong. Kuniev actually won the fight. Listen, Blaydes won the first round with the wrestling, but second round, he got his ass kicked, and then the third round, he got rocked and pieced up. So this is a robbery. Kuniev got the dub. But yeah, man, this does not make me excited for the future at heavyweight, and it just sort of reminds you of how much it sucks that we're getting deprived of the only good fight at heavyweight, which is Jones versus Aspinall. Because if you think about the future of heavyweight without that fight, which is the future of heavyweight since we're not getting it, it's just Tom Aspinall versus Waldo Cortez Acosta types and Curtis Blaydes kind of fighters. And you may say, well, oh no, Gane's, an interesting stylistic matchup. Dude, Gane is going to get destroyed. He's going to get taken down easily. He's like 30 pounds lighter than Aspinall. He has no power in his hands. Aspinall's as fast, if not faster than him, with 10,000 times the power. Okay? And then Almeida, it's like, dude, Almeida lost to Blaydes. So, heavyweight is sad, bro. I feel bad for Aspinall. I honestly just feel bad for him because, like, listen, on one hand, he's just going to destroy every single heavyweight. But on the other hand, you kind of want there to be, like, a big test just so that he can have, like, a big hyped up fight. I mean, Stipe versus DC Ngannou versus Stipe, that level of hype. I want Aspinall to have a big fight, but if he's fighting these guys that just look terrible, no fans are going to get behind his opponents, and no one's going to believe that his opponents can actually beat him, and therefore the fights aren't going to feel big. So I kind of understand why they're giving guys like Rizvan Kuniev, these big spots in the top 5 rankings. I kind of get why they're giving him this type of fight. But now even Rizvan Kuniev, despite the fact that he lost, and, he should have won, but despite the fact that he looked good, I guess, he's just looking like Waldo Cortes Costa. So, yeah, man, the heavyweight division is not looking good. As we get on to Tufiq Musayev versus Myktybek Orolbai. What did I say, guys? I said that people are going to be hyping up Tufiq Musayev because he's EV last name from that part of the world, and he fought in PFL and Bellator and had close fights with other EVs and other people from that part of the world, and therefore he's super hyped up, right? I said people are going to try to be hardcore by saying Tufiq Musayev is a savage, and as soon as this fight started, Michael Bisping was saying, Tufiq is a savage. People may not know him, but he's nasty everywhere. He's good everywhere. He's got dynamite in his hands. And I told you guys about the fight that I watched of his where he threw the same right hand 15 times over. Either way, I picked Myktybek Orolbai to go out there and destroy him, and he did just that. He took down Tufiq Musayev, ragdolled him, took him down a couple of times. Tufiq got up to his feet. He kept getting taken down. Okay? And ultimately, Myktybek Orolbai, built different Orolbai, twisted him into a literal Kimura pretzel. Okay? I said Myktybek Orolbai is going to steamroll him. He's going to ragdoll him or piece him up on the feet. And Myktybek Orolbai was levels. I know some people were like, mate, no. You're sleeping on this one, man. I guarantee you this is going to be a scrap. I'm going to say this could be fight of the night, man. This could be fight. People are sleeping on Tufiq Musayev. If you were asking in one of the UFC announcement pages, who's Tufiq Musayev when they announced this, people would call you a casual. And they said, you're about to find out. And that person would get like 30 likes or whatever. Bro doesn't know Tufiq Musayev. Guess he's going to find out when it's fight of the fucking night, man. Yeah. Yeah, dude. Let's go. I know that I usually root for the UFC guys when someone makes their debut. And Rizvan Kuniev, I thought he was going to get his UFC comeuppance. He actually ended up winning. But Myktybek Orolbai holds it down for the UFC. You're not coming in here after having those right hand fests, whatever I usually... What are they called? The ole fights. You're not coming into the UFC after having an ole scrap. It wasn't even a scrap. It was a snooze fest. And take out my boy Myktybek Orolbai. Myktybek Orolbai is built different. I'm happy he got the win. I'm happy he took no damage. Let's get this guy back in the cage for a big fight night or UFC 319. Love to see it after that war that he went through last time where he took a lot of damage. No damage whatsoever. Talking about damage, Nazim Sadykhov versus Nicholas Motta. Fight of the night right here. I thought Nazim Sadykhov was going to school Nicholas Motta. He's got a lot of great wins. He submitted one of the Bonfim brothers. He beat Vyacheslav Borshev and dropped him all over the deck like a fish. Nazim Sadykhov is putting together a really solid resume. There's a couple other really good wins that he has in the UFC. I forget who they're against. But he's 5-0 now. He gets the KO in his home country, Azerbaijan. Crowd goes wild. But we got to talk about this fight. This was maybe the fight of the year. And I'm surprised that Nicholas Motta's chin held up as well as it did. Despite him getting KO'd in the second round, I was looking at this fight like, man, Nicholas Motta's a little bit chinny. Got KO'd by Tom Nolan. Or maybe it was him that KO'd Tom Nolan. I forget. No. He KO'd Tom Nolan, but he got KO'd by the guy that just beat Drew Dober. Whatever his name is. Manuel Torres, yeah. But I thought Nicholas Motta was a little bit of a glass cannon. But, dude, him and Nazim Sadykhov, they start scrapping a little bit. Nazim Sadykhov, clearly the more skilled technical guy. But Nicholas Motta is just getting in his face. You could tell, especially when they were doing the announcements. Like, I don't know if it was Buffer or the other guy, but Nicholas Motta was, like, laughing at the fact that he was getting booed. And you could tell that he was like, dude, I'm about to put these fans into a state of misery. I'm about to put it on Nazim Sadykhov. I'm not letting the fans get to me. And he starts getting in Nazim Sadykhov's face. He starts landing big bombs. He hurts Nazim Sadykhov. Nazim Sadykhov starts stumbling back to the fence. And Nicholas Motta starts ripping to the midsection. Hooks, uppercuts to the midsection. Just like 20 body shots. And Nazim Sadykhov goes down. I actually counted that as a real knockdown. Nazim Sadykhov literally gets crumpled to the canvas and somehow works his way back up to the feet. Nicholas Motta's still teeing off on him, but Nazim Sadykhov is like, crunching down, making sure his elbows are blocking the midsection and his face. Eventually, Nicholas Motta stops throwing for a second to get a breather, and Nazim Sadykhov starts throwing and lands a sick combination with a head kick upstairs, like a 4-piece with a head kick. And then the fans start going crazy because you're like, oh shit, did he just rock Nicholas Motta? He's back in this fight. And from there on out, it seemed like there was nothing that was going to hurt Nazim Sadykhov for the rest of this match. The second round was crazy as well. Both of these guys in the pocket, slugging, trading, hurting each other. And then there's a moment at the end of the second round where Nazim Sadykhov is clinching Nicholas Motta. Everyone's thinking, okay, he's going to ride this out for the rest of the round. Nothing's going to happen from here on out. We'll wait and see what happens in the third. And Nazim Sadykhov breaks away from the clinch and lands the sneaky right hand right on the button on Nicholas Motta's chin, putting him down, follow-up shots. He goes out cold, and Nazim Sadykhov gets it done. What a fucking war, man. This was such a crazy fight. So, yeah, Nazim Sadykhov gets it done. If you're getting tested that much against Nicholas Motta, I don't know how far he gets, but he is 4-5-0 in the UFC right now. And he's beaten pretty good levels of competition. I mean, he's going to need to take a while off after this loss. After this war, I should say. I'm talking about damage, and I'm just thinking, oh, he took a lot of damage. It's usually a loss when that happens. But, yeah, he's going to take a lot of time off. And I'd like to see him back against someone that's right outside of the rankings. Let's give him a bump up. He's 31 years old. He's not got all the time in the world, so I think it's time to give him a big test. Maybe Ignacio Bahamondes, man. Let's see about that. Let's get on to the next one. Mohammad Naimov fight versus Bogdan Grad. I picked Bogdan Grad. I was wrong, although it was very close. Mohammad Naimov rocks Bogdan Grad in the first round with a spinning wheel kick to the dome. Bogdan Grad survives, shoots a takedown. But, this was a classic Mohammad Naimov fight. Low output, 5 strikes around, couple of grappling exchanges where nothing happens. I don't know. Mohammad Naimov, he is like the archetypal boring but explosive fighter for these Abu Dhabi, Azerbaijan type of cards where it's it's always going to be on the prelims. You're like, oh, this could be good. Mohammad Naimov is short and explosive. He can land a big KO, and he's skilled because he's got the OV. And he just has the look of a high-level fighter, right? And then it ends up being a snooze fest every single time. Bogdan Grad, he almost got it done, man. He almost got it done. He was getting himself some good moments of control time, but ended up getting reversed in the third round. I had it 1-1 going into the third. Mohammad Naimov took the third, but yeah, kind of a boring fight. Oban Elliott versus Seokhyeon KO. I picked Oban Elliott to school Seokhyeon KO because I said Oban Elliott is a good grappler. That seems to be his bread and butter. And he's been looking better and better on the feet. He came into the UFC looking slow. I said he was slow Bon Elliott. And then he pieced up and destroyed Basil Hoffus and looked kind of fast. And I was looking at Seokhyeon KO's fights. And I was saying, man, he's got power, but he's not that great. And he's kind of chinny. I could see Oban Elliott mixing it up and winning with the grappling, or maybe even just outstriking him with the speed advantage. I was dead wrong. And I don't think anyone saw this coming. Seokhyeon KO, they call him the Korean Tyson. And they got to start calling him the Korean Khabib because he totally outgrappled Oban Elliott and mauled him. All right. It started off with, I don't remember what the first exchange was, but I think Oban Elliott may have went for a takedown and Seokhyeon KO reversed it. Or maybe it was Seokhyeon KO who got the first takedown. And then in the second round, they ended up in the clinch a couple times. Seokhyeon KO tripped Oban Elliott with, a good judo throw or a good judo trip. He's from Korea, so, he's definitely got a good extensive judo background. You could see that while watching this fight. And, of course, judo is very big over there in Asia. And he's just able to control Oban Elliott every single time he takes him down. Third round, it was the same thing. Seokhyeon KO gets down Oban Elliott easily controls him, starts beating him up. He looked like he was 3 steps ahead on the ground. So Oban Elliott, a guy that's kind of known for being a good grappler, gets destroyed, beaten everywhere on the ground. Not destroyed. It's not like he took a lot of damage, but he got shown levels on the ground by the guy that was supposed to be the big slugger, that was supposed to get schooled on the feet, or at least maybe taken down a couple of times. No, Oban Elliott kind of got schooled in this fight. So Sung Young KO, very well-rounded. I'll be taking that into account moving forward. As we get on to the next one, I'm so happy that Jung Young Park won this. It was turning into a nightmare. First round, Ismael Naurdiev, Jung Young Park was pretty close. Ismael Naurdiev started schooling him early, but then Jung Young Park starts finding his range, getting into it, starts finding the timing for his jab and his 2, and he starts making it scrappy at the end of the first round, and it looks like the tide is going to start to turn. It's a classic Jung Young Park fight. He's going to take over in the second, take over in the third, and dominate. And in the second round, early on, Ismael Naurdiev lands a knee to Jung Young Park, who is grounded. Apparently, he had a knee on the ground. So he's a grounded opponent. And this knee knocks the wind out of him, cuts him open as well. He has this nasty cut on his eye, and he's rocked. And it looks like he's probably not going to be good to go. And he's not really given a clear answer. Like, he's not showing the ref that he's ready to go back into the fight. He's kind of just there with a glazed over look in his eye, allowing the universe to decide his fate. And normally I would think, okay, the doctors are going to stop this because he's not looking like he's really wanting to get back in there. He kind of looks indifferent. The doctor's definitely going to stop it. But then again, I'm like, we're in Azerbaijan. These doctors, these aren't these soy doctors that we get in other states, in the US sometimes, or in other countries. These Azerbaijan doctors are like, they're fake doctors. They're like MMA fighters. They're fans that pretend to be doctors. All right. Obviously, I'm joking, but you get what I'm saying. Like, these are MMA grapplers these are guys that just competed in ADCC, and they happen to be studying in med school at the same time. You know how it is. Orolbai is a fucking lawyer. You get how it is, man. Freaking, I think there's another guy from like Russia that's like a freaking lawyer or a doctor, and he's an MMA fighter. You know how it is, man. So I'm thinking, man, these doctors are gonna fucking keep this fight going, and they do. And everyone's freaking out. Everyone's like, no, they just gave Jung Young Park a death sentence. Like, he's rocked. He can't even see. He's got this glazed over look. The Iron Turtle, the fan favorite, is rocked. And he's being sent back into the freaking shadow realm, it seemed. And actually, they took 2 points from Ismael. So I'm like, oh, well, that seems kind of fair, but I'm still kind of worried for him. And Jung Young Park ends up dominating the rest of the fight. You know, he gets a hold of Ismael Naurdiev with the EV. Casuals, you know, I am often called a casual, but real hardcore fans know that the better grappler in this fight was the Iron Turtle. Iron Turtle has freaking legendary grappling, and he mauled Ismael Naurdiev for the rest of the fight. So, yeah, Jung Young Park, that was a terrifying moment for us Iron Turtle fans, but he ends up winning the fight anyway. He won the second and the third round despite the knee. So I'm happy that he got the win. Tough cookie fights. You know what? Before I get to Tagir Ulanbekov versus Azat Maksum, because everyone wants to know if that's going to be, in my opinion, a robbery, I will say that even though I wasn't paying the closest attention, these were good fights. These were good scraps. Daria Zelenikova versus Melissa Mullins and Irina Alexieva versus Claudia Segula. Respect. These were pretty good scrappy fights. You got to respect it, you know. They actually fought for real. So those were not so bad. Those are pretty good. But let's get on to this. This is what I thought was going to be fight of the night until Nazim Sadykhov versus Nicholas Motta, and we all forgot about how good this one was. We didn't forget about whether or not it was a robbery. We didn't forget about the controversy, but we forgot about how epic this was. Before I get into who I think won, this was an amazing fight. It's pretty rare that we see Tagir Ulanbekov in a war. And I said, and I picked Tagir Ulanbekov to win, but I said, if this is a stand-up battle, if Azat Maksum can keep this fight standing, he will do really well on the feet. This guy dropped Charles Johnson twice in the first round of their fight and had a really close fight with Charles Johnson, who's a great striker at flyweight. Don't sleep on this guy on the feet. But I still slept on his grappling. But I was thinking, man, it's still going to be close. He's not going to get schooled on the ground. It's not like Tagir is the most dominant grappler. Honestly, it looked like Azat was the better grappler. Azat Maksum had the most brick wall takedown defense I've ever seen in my entire life. It seems like this guy was an immovable object. And to be fair, Tagir was kind of an immovable object as well in the third round. Azat was shooting some takedowns and Tagir was stuffing them pretty easily. But man, this was a high-level fight. Such a good scrap. You had Tagir Ulanbekov, who out of all of the boys, Umar, Khabib, Makhachev, has like the most boring fights usually. And he's out there, they're going elbow for elbow. It looks like Don Fry versus Takayama with these guys, but like flyweight speed versions of that. And they're landing elbows in the clinch. They're dirty boxing like Daniel Cormier, cutting each other open. This was an epic fight. Stuffing each other's takedowns, good scrambles whenever it would hit the mat. Azat Maksum took down Tagir twice in the first round. That shocks everyone, right? And then just scrappy moments. But when it comes to who I thought won the fight, I thought that Azat Maksum may have edged out the first round. It was very close, but he may have edged it out. It was close, but then he got a couple of takedowns at the end of it. But the second and third, I gave to Tagir Ulanbekov. I think that if they gave Azat Maksum this fight, it wouldn't have been a robbery. But Tagir Ulanbekov, in my opinion, landed the better, harder shots in the second round. And he landed the better, harder shots in the third round. And this is the thing. I mean, this is like the second fight of the night. So after this, I watched 10, 11 other fights. So I don't remember every single moment. But what's important to remember is that this shit was razor close. And the reason why you have people saying this is a robbery is because the Kazakhstani fan base is one of the most diehard fan base in the history of fan bases, okay? If you guys don't know, you know now. And you probably already knew if you followed MMA because you know every time Shavkat Rakhmonov fights, Kazakhstan's entire population floods the comment section of every single post that's UFC related. But especially when there's a close fight like this, you'll have the entire population of Kazakhstan rioting. So I don't think it was a robbery. I think the reason why people are even talking about it being a robbery is because, number one, it's Tagir Ulanbekov, and if he wins a very close fight, people are automatically going to bring up Dagestani privilege or Khabib being his coach privilege, right? Oh, he's got Khabib in his corner. Oh, they want to give him the win because of that. So they're going to bring that up. And then you have the Kazakhstan army that's riding with Azat no matter what. That no matter how fucking close it was, they were going to call it a robbery if he loses. So, like, I mean, listen, it is tough to see Azat, who is clearly the less popular fighter. It's not like Tagir's that popular, but like the lesser known fighter, drop another really close fight to a high-level fighter because he lost the Charles Johnson one, too. I thought that should have been a draw. He's so good, man. And he's at the Tagir Ulanbekov level, but he's lost to him, and that's another loss. I don't know how old he is. He looks pretty young. I assume that he's in his late 20s, maybe mid-20s, so maybe he has a lot of time to improve, but yeah, it's tough to see him lose this one. I would have liked to have seen him win. It would have been cool to see the underdog win, the lesser-known guy win. But as far as robbery is concerned, like, this is not a robbery. It was so close, okay? And I do think Tagir landed the bigger and better shots in the second and third round. But it was so close, man. Like, this literally could have gone either way, okay? But I think that if you are going to go one way, it's like, I think it is likely better if they gave it to Tagir. I thought that 51% of that fight, Tagir was winning, okay? Whereas 49% it was Azat. But yeah, a part of it is just because a lot of people were shocked that Azat did as well as he did. Even though I knew he was going to do pretty well, I was kind of surprised that he did as well as he did when it came to the takedown defense. So, yeah. And on to the next one, Mohammad Usman versus Hamdy Abdelwahab. Dude, Hamdy Abdelwahab is horrible. And respect to Mohammad Usman. He lost the first round. He got cracked with a big shot in the first round, and it was so cringy the commentators were talking about Hamdy because he came into the UFC with a good performance in his debut, but since then he's looked kind of bad. The commentators are like, oh, Hamdy is here. Oh, it's going to be a night fest. He's going to put someone to sleep any moment. And then they were talking about how his corner was telling him, listen, we don't got all night. Finish this now. And the commentators are like, yeah, well, if anyone can do it, it's Hamdy. Expect a finish from Hamdy any minute. And Mohammad Usman just starts getting back into the fight with a simple jab and a right hand and a jab to the body. And he rocks Hamdy Abdelwahab multiple times in the second round. And you have the Goliath that is Hamdy Abdelwahab that was getting hyped up by the commentators, just getting easily outstruck by Mohammad Usman for the rest of the fight. So, I mean, listen, Mohammad Usman's not that great, but he clearly won the second. He clearly won the third with volume. Hamdy Abdelwahab, man, he is literally like a Parker Porter level heavyweight out there. So, yeah, I was wrong on this. As far as picks go, I got that one wrong. I got that one right. So, I don't even remember who I picked on these ones. I think I picked Melissa Mullins. Okay? And I do those even count when it comes to picks? I mean, they were good fights, but come on. I got this one wrong. I'm 1-1, okay? I got that one right, 2-1. I got that one wrong, 2-2. I got that one wrong, 2-3. Got that one right, 3-3. 4-3, okay? I got that one right on paper, although it was a robbery. But you know, when we count picks, it's on paper, guys. So I was 5-3, 6-3, and 6-4. All right, guys. So we didn't do that well. 6-4. If you count robberies, I was 5-5. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Until next time.